Once upon a time, in a far-off land, there was a train station that served as a hub for all trains passing through the region. It was a dark and dreary place, where the trains would arrive and depart at all hours of the day and night. One day, a young woman arrived at the station to catch a train to her hometown. As she waited on the platform, she noticed that the trains arriving were different from the ones she was used to seeing. They were old and decrepit, with rusted metal and creaky wheels. But she shrugged it off and boarded the train. Once aboard, she realized that something was not right. The seats were torn and frayed, and the windows were filthy and cracked. She tried to ignore it and settled into her seat, but the train was not moving. It sat in the station, its engine rumbling, but no progress was made. Suddenly, she heard a strange noise coming from the train car behind her. It was a low, guttural growl that seemed to be getting louder and closer. She looked out the window and saw a figure in the shadows, moving towards the train. It was a man, or at least what used to be a man. He was covered in dirt and grime, with long matted hair and ragged clothing. As he approached the train, the woman realized that he was not alone. Behind him were dozens of other people, all of them with the same wild and deranged look in their eyes. They were all heading straight for the train. The woman was paralyzed with fear, unable to move or even scream. The mob of people surrounded the train, pounding on the windows and doors, trying to break in. The woman was trapped, with no escape in sight. Suddenly, the train lurched forward, throwing the woman and the other passengers to the ground. The engine roared to life, and the train began to move down the tracks at a breakneck pace. The woman looked out the window, and what she saw was pure horror. The people who had surrounded the train were now running alongside it, trying to keep up. They were screaming and clawing at the windows, trying to get inside. The woman thought she was going to die, but the train eventually pulled into her hometown station. She stumbled out of the train, shaking and crying, and never again set foot on a train. Years later, she heard rumors about the train station and the trains that passed through it. Some said that the trains were haunted by the ghosts of passengers who had died on board. Others said that the trains were used by criminals to transport illegal goods and that the people who surrounded the train were part of a dangerous gang. Regardless of the truth, the woman never forgot the terror she had experienced on that train. To this day, she avoids train stations and always opts for other modes of transportation.